Miss Forbes Riley, this is a distinct honor and privilege to be here with you today. I first and foremost want to say thank you.
Well, and you are very, very welcome, Mr. Rodriguez. I'm good.
I love it. As I just told you, I was just watching so many of your YouTube videos, and your charisma is really something that is off the charts. And for everybody listening, you already heard about Forbes' impeccable history with pitches and selling and so forth. But I want to touch on that. As you just said, Mr. Rodriguez, that sparked the first question that I really want to touch on. And that is the art of the pitch. And the only reason I mention that is because you're so charismatic. It's hard not to love you, Forbes. Okay, it's hard.
So that's an interesting conversation. I'm actually thinking now I should go bottle Forbes Riley charisma and sell that as a thing. Kind of like they used to sell sun and sand. Yes, I brought back some Forbes Riley charisma in a jar. Wait, it's right here. Here's her charisma bottle. You just rub it and it just comes out now. But let's have this conversation, because one of the things that I love to do when I talk on people's podcasts is that you've got an amazing audience who looks up to you. You are young, you're in the military, and thank you for your service. I truly appreciate that. And so what are we talking about when we say charisma? What is it, if you could describe it, that actually is what you're talking about?
For me, Forbes, it would be walking in a room and having a presence that brings joy to other people.
So that's a great sentence. Now, so then you as a person have to go, wow, when I walk in a room, what do I do that would cause joy in another person? So what do you think that might be?
For me, Forbes, I would say that it's the fact that I treat everybody equally and I try my best to make sure that everybody feels important.
But that's not the mission of most people. Most people, when they start talking or they start pitching, they don't even think about the other person. They're so busy in their head about what they have to do. What do I get right? And all of those things are firing. And the truth is, nobody really cares. You know, the funniest thing I ask in my trainings is I'll say to somebody, what do you do? And let me show you how pitching starts. So if I said to you, Devin, what do you do? What are you going to say to me?
Well, I'm going to take this more in my entrepreneurial endeavor so I can really get some help with this. So I help people craft and deliver stories that form connection, boost sales, and inspire people to take immediate action.
Okay, now that sounded like it was really good if it was on the back of a box. It didn't sound for a second like you were talking to me. And I'm the only one in the room who asked you the question. And so you missed what I call number 4 of a 5 formula step I have in terms of pitching. You have to make an assumption. Who are you actually talking to? And at that moment, my beautiful friend with the great energy, you went into pitch mode, which had nothing to do with me. It didn't even sound like you were talking to me. Do you kind of resonate with that?
Absolutely, 100%.
So now if I change the question, and this is for all of you baby entrepreneurs and advanced entrepreneurs too, I listen to your pitches too. If I asked you the question, hey, Devin, what could you do for me? What would you say?
I would say that I can help you craft and deliver a presentation that will deliver an experience to your audience rather than just information to your audience.
Okay, now I'm going to go one step deeper, because now you graduated to be an intermediate student. Why did you still sound like you weren't talking to Forbes Riley? I'm the only one who asked you the question. I know that sounds crazy, but you can tweak it one more bite where you're like, hey, Forbes, you know what I do? Man, I've been studying with your friend Les Brown, and I'm working on presentation stories. And I'll bet I know you're really good at it, but everybody could use a coach. And maybe you want to have some coaching from somebody who's really young and new to the business so you could freshen up your material. But I'm bummed. Now you would get me to say yes, and you'd actually make money right then and there from a pitch based on what do you do?
That's powerful. So Forbes, if I'm understanding correctly, it's less of having, like you said, kind of this cookie cutter. This is what the greatest way I like to put it is the first couple of lines you see on people's clubhouses. I help people do this, and this, which honestly, it kind of is what I did too. Because you see,
great. Well, but that's great on a Clubhouse profile where you're not talking to somebody. But in real life, I'm right here.
I love it.
The thing is, people just forget they're talking to humans. Now go back to the beginning of the conversation where you said charisma is about bringing joy to others.
Right.
Well, do that at every chance. I'm not going to give you a podcast. I don't have a podcast speech that I give generically. I'm going to tell you who I am. No, Devin, you've got a different audience. Your audience is probably younger or hipper. Your audience is a little more cutting edge. I'm going to sound hipper and younger because that's what I believe, or I assume people who listen to you might be interested in. And right now they're all going, damn, do you see what she did with that?
That was awesome, Forbes.
People will ask you, what do you do all the time? And I'm only charismatic because I go the extra mile to make you like me, because it's not about me. Isn't that funny? I'm not a model where I just walk in the room because I'm so beautiful, you just can't wait to talk to me. That's not what charisma is. Charisma is when you walk in, who are you actually serving? How are you helping people? Or are you just somebody who can't wait to talk about what you do? I do this, and I'm a liar. Who cares what you do? The truth is, right? And so conscious charisma, that's going to be the name of my next book. I'm actually going to write that down.
You better write that one down.
But that's kind of what it is.
Right.
Is that when I pitch you or I talk to you, I'm always enrolling people. I do a class on Sundays for 2 hours. I teach live on Zoom since the pandemic started every Sunday for 2 hours. I teach people to do exactly what we're doing here. Do you know that there's hundreds of people in that class? Do you know that I don't pay a dime for advertising? You know what I do? I make it so exciting for you to go, I have to be there on Sunday.
Right.
This is pretty wild. So it's not about me. I know my information, but I'm going to tell you, if you want to learn from someone who's grossed $2.5 billion and closes more deals than I know what to do with. One of the issues that I have is whenever I'm in an environment, I leave with like 5 JV deals. I leave with more business cards than I ever know what to do with. I always have. Any of my assistants are like, oh my God, she's gone. Here's another stack of business cards. Those are all people that I talk to. Those are all, and I only take a card for somebody that I think I can help, want to connect with, or that I can serve. And so people that I meet get to be on my podcast, get to be on my radio show, or maybe I want to do a deal with them or a book with them. I mean, in this book alone, right here, there's 150 authors. See that? This took me 2.5 months to write. It is a compilation book. And in this book is not only 100 of my students, but 50 celebrities, like Baz Rutten, the #1 kind of boxing guy in the MF, whatever, I don't know, fighting. But Hercules, Kevin Sorbo is in this book. The guy who was in 2001, A Space Odyssey, 85, is in my book. Very famous actor. And. Well, why do they do that? Because I maintain relationships. And why are they in this book? Because when I pitched it to them, the pitch went something like, hey, we all need to stay relevant. If you're not out there right now and you haven't gotten a new book in the last couple of years, and many of you haven't, I've got one chapter, if you write this, that I can get you some renewed interest in your career, your charity, whatever you're up to. Would you be interested in helping us out? Everybody said yes. Why? Because it wasn't about, I'm writing a book about. How can I serve you?
Forbes, and that's what I've been reading a lot of books on sales. And I came across one that I really, really liked because the title, it's called Integrity Selling. Have you heard of it?
I don't have any, so I don't know. That's an interesting title for a book. And what was your big takeaway from it?
The big takeaway was that people don't really care so much about the features, the technicalities, exactly how it works, but they want to know about how at the end of your program or as a result of using their product, how are they going to reach their end desire? And what it really taught me was this, the fact that you have to get clear on a person's desires, their pain points, their challenges, which honestly, before that, I didn't really think that was part of it. I thought it was just, okay, let me just tell you about my coaching program and hope you buy it.
Right. So I'm going to take it one step further. You know why my coaching is so radically on a different level from almost everyone you'll ever talk to?
Let me hear it, Forbes.
I made $2.5 billion. I grossed that much not talking to people. I pitched to a television camera. I pitched to live home shopping. I pitched to a camera that does not have a personality, a want, or a desire. So I have had to, in my scope of how I create things, create assumptions and create stories in my head about who I'm talking to. And then I fulfill that. And I actually used to call it playing tennis. I don't play tennis. And Serena Williams was one of my business partners. And she'll tell you that I don't play tennis. But I learned some good stuff from her too. And what it is I've got something to talk about, and you're here, and we kind of lob the ball back and forth. I'm going to give you features and benefits, and at some point I'm going to make my point, boom, and then I'm going to move on to the next one. So for me personally, I have never had the ultimate avatar. I rail against that bullshit. I really do. My client is Susie. She's 47 and she likes drink tea instead of coffee. I personally don't care. I care that I know that there is a Susie out there, but there's also a Devin out there, and that there's also a Joshua like my fiance, and I've got a fitness product here, okay? Now, here's the interesting thing. On one day in home shopping, I sold 64,000 of these in 24 hours. Do you know how many times I had to figure out who I was talking to? And so if I'm talking to somebody and I know I can picture that, like my mom was a little overweight her whole entire life. And I would say to her, I understand what it's like, especially with COVID. You don't want to go to the gym. There's germs, but you got to be sitting in your house. If you're sitting on your chair, imagine that you want sexy tight arms, because I'll tell you what, at some point we're going back to the beach. And if they're flabby and saggy, you don't feel good. And in fact, maybe you don't even feel good when you get naked in front of your man. You know what I'm saying? I got to tell you, you do this for 5 minutes. You do it here, you do it over here, 5 minutes in front of a Zoom call, put it down. Maybe you're sitting on the couch. And the best part about this, if you're an overeater like I was, oh God, I had to go to Overeaters Anonymous for years, is that when you're doing this, you can't get to the chip because your hands are busy. So you don't snack as much. How many people?
Oh, Forbes.
Right?
I love that. And I love what you said. So let me ask you a question, because a lot of people that are listening to this are very new in their entrepreneurial endeavors. I have a lot of friends that listen to this that are coaches, and over these past 20 months, there's been a lot of new coaches who have transpired and become, quote unquote, a coach. So my question to you, Forbes, would be, what's your advice and how would you handle a sales call if you were somewhat of a new coach? You've been coaching for maybe less than a year and you hop on the call with a client who says that they're interested in what you have to offer. How would you approach that? What are some of the things that you would potentially say to open up, and how would you navigate that conversation? Because I personally feel, and I've been there, that's kind of where it gets a little fuzzy. You don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. And I'd love your take on that.
If you don't know what to say, then stop coaching and get coached.
Oh, I love it.
Now, I'm not kidding, because if you're at that stage, if you don't know how to do this, honestly, I teach a class called MediaMasteryTraining.com, where I do exactly what you're talking about. Because just because you understand how to life coach or business coach or tennis coach, whatever it is, you haven't been trained how to pitch what you coach. So what you just asked me is a process that I don't think I can give in just a solid answer. But here's some things that you need to know. You know, you talked earlier about the features the benefits as opposed to features. Let me share something with you. You know what's more dangerous than no knowledge?
What is that, Forbes?
A little bit of knowledge.
Why is that?
Because it's not the whole picture. Every time you read a book at 23, you're going to go, oh man, that's awesome. I'm going to do that. Or that's awesome. And when it doesn't work, you're going to go, well, why didn't it work? Because we're only going to give you a piece of what is a puzzle. So I turned 61 years old. I have more pieces in my puzzle because I've got more experience. So I'm going to tell you that what you said, while it was nice, the guy who wrote the book, it's not, I don't believe it at all. In fact, I teach something quite the opposite.
Oh, let me hear it. Let me hear it, Forbes.
Well, because there's a big thing about features. I have a 2 + 2 = 4 theory.
Yes.
If I'm talking to you and I keep making sense and it's yes, 2 and 2 is 4. As soon as you say 2 and 2 is 5, I'm like, I stop listening. Now, this is decades of me studying how the human brain processes information. So let's go back to my whole NLP training. Do you know that you process 2 million bits of information in this brain of yours every second?
Wow.
I'm looking at you. I can see that you're blue. I can know I'm wearing something black. I got lights here. I can feel the cushion underneath my seat. I can know I'm breathing. I'm talking. 2 million bits of information. Your brain's going. Your brain can only retain 7 bytes of information. Kind of like a computer. If you overload it, it just shuts down, right?
Absolutely.
So you have to delete. So what your brain does is delete, distort, or generalize almost everything it gets put into it. And this is why you only remember a few moments of your past. You remember the highlights. You remember you remember the bad things for some reason because your neurons light up. But you maybe remember a birthday party or a first kiss, but you don't remember what you had for dinner 3 Thursdays ago, do you? No, but I can tell you that I had dinner in 1999 in Nairobi, what it smelled like at that Indian restaurant and how amazing it was. Why can I do that? Because I took a moment and processed that little bit of information like you do on a computer drive, stuck it in the file, said, don't forget that stuff. And then when you watch it, when you look at a picture, I've had that moment where, oh, the memories are all back there, but that picture was like, oh, I remember that now. Without that photo, you would have never thought about that memory because there's no place to store it. Okay, so if that's true, when you communicate to somebody, if you confuse them, they stop listening. They have to because their brain took a vacation to go, what did he say? I'm talking about, I used to sell a foot insole and the creator was like, talk about the proprioceptors in your foot. I'm like, never. He said, but that's so important. I said, yeah, it is to you. What is important is my definition of proprioceptors and the way that I'm going to interpret that information to somebody because I'm selling a product called Barefoot Science. And I'm going to say to you, not that big word, but that you know what's cool? When your foot walks in sand, it gets mushed all over the place. When you put it in a hard shoe, it's like this. That's why our feet start to get a little deformed and our back hurts. We're meant to go barefoot. This insole will make you feel like you're barefoot in your shoes.
That's powerful.
Right. You understand that picture I just painted in your head.
So Forbes, let me stop right there. So you took a big picture type of term, and your goal with that was to break it down so that the everyday person could imagine what it's like to use that product, correct?
That is one of the elements of what I did.
Mm.
Next, I know, I got to tell you, it is
Come on,
not,
Forbes. You get me fired up.
you can't make a cake with one ingredient. If you're going to make a beautiful cake, think about how complicated it really is. You got a list of ingredients between flour and baking soda. And do you buy good cocoa, 99% cocoa? You have a lot of choices to make when you bake a cake. Then how you put the cake together. Some cakes, if you beat the eggs too fast, you'll end up with a crappy. There's technique. Once you've got the ingredients, you've got this technique. And then, did you know that when you bake something at a different altitude, there's different time and temperatures? So if I'm baking in Florida and I take that same recipe to the mountains of Colorado, it won't work. Oh my gosh, so you're telling me what? The environment, how I'm doing it, how long I bake it for. I got to know all of those things to make a cake? Yes, you do. So if you want to be an effective pitcher, I actually created a 5-step program. And I'll give you pieces of this. And Devin, I hope I'm going to excite you, because at the end of the day, even if I gave you every single piece of my formula, you don't have an oven yet. You don't have the right altitude. And that's why I ask people to come and, if you really want to become a great pitcher, to come and train, because there's no such thing as the perfect pitch. There's no guy who stands on a pitcher mound and pitches the same ball every time, do they?
Nope.
You know that. And why do they change their pitch?
They got to use different pitches when approaching different people, different batters. They need to use different pitches.
So stop. Reword that like you just did as an entrepreneur. You got to use different pitches when you approach different customers.
Yes. That's powerful.
That is a power. That's why my whole analogy is about baseball. But the second thing that's important, I'll give you a little insight into features and benefits. Let's play a game. All right. So I got a spin gym here, which is called a spin gym, by the way, just for your audience, in case they want to see that. Give me a feature of this product.
That it's stretchy. You could stretch it out to the sides, and that's how your arms work.
Well, actually, the irony is, it's a feature is not really that it's not stretchy. Actually, it's a strength cord. It's not stretchy, but give me another feature.
Okay, that it's purple.
Ah, very good. And by the way, most people miss that. So if purple's a feature, what's the benefit of purple?
I don't know.
Oh, in my world, my friend, you never say, I don't know. I don't know. You should never say that phrase again. I don't know closes down every door of possibility, and I'm going to show you that you actually do know.
Okay. Oh, this is fun. Forbes, this is fun.
Give me a benefit of purple.
It stands out.
See, now you do know.
Come on, Forbes.
You're so full of shit. You did know. Guys, everyone who's listening to this, please stop saying, I don't know. Just button your lips, because when you go, what if I did know, you have more answers than you ever imagined. And I'm going to tell you, in my 20s, I traveled around Europe with a backpack and a camera, because I told my mom, I found the book Europe on $20 a day. I opened the book and said, Mom, I'm going to tear out every page and come home when I have just the cover. That was my plan. At no point did I ever say, I don't know. I literally said, figure it out. Figure it out. How are you going to eat if you have no money? Figure it out. When you have a figured out mentality, I don't know is irrelevant, because you never know. I mean, get real. Devin, you walk, right?
I do.
You know how to walk?
Yes.
Well, when you were 2 years old, you didn't know how to walk. Did you ever say to Mom, look, Mom, I don't know. I'm hitting my head. I forget. I don't want to do this. You
right.
Didn't.
Never did that.
But you never even occurred to you to say, I don't know.
Until I learned it.
Until you learned it. And whoever taught you that should be put in the ground. I'm not kidding, because I think it's the death of everybody. I don't know. Really? And you want to hear the irony of this? I've got two 18-year-olds. If you say, I don't know how to, Mom, go to the computer and go Google. Google it. I was like, oh, shit. That is literally people come to us all the time and go, how do I do? Google it, YouTube it. I don't know does not exist anymore. I don't know how to be a plumber, but I'll tell you what, I can go to Google and figure out how to fix my sink now. Not kidding. Never use that phrase, because the irony is a second later, you seem to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So now for me, I'm a holistic entrepreneur. A pitch is part of what you do, but how you show up, the energy with which you do it, the charisma that you carry with you, and the outcome, all those things to me are all very important. So feature benefit. And if you watch Home Shopping, if you want to pitch, it's a great thing to observe how people are doing this. So feature, because here's how it is. Features is purple. A benefit of that is, look, for women, it goes everywhere. And in fact, purple is the color of royalty. You play with this and you just feel important. Second feature. Give me another feature.
It has loops in it.
It has loops. You know what's great about that? It doesn't have big handles. In fact, these are so steady that you can actually do this even if you have arthritis in your hands, because you don't actually have to hold it. But it's so flexible and so interesting about where your fingers can go in these rings. Give me
Right.
another feature. Give me another feature.
It has durable. What are the durable strings? Let's say there, Forbes.
Okay.
It doesn't look like it's going to just break very easily.
Right. So it has durable strings. The benefit of that is it provides up to 26 pounds of resistance every single time you pull it. Or if you're older, you can go as quiet as 3 and 4 pounds. Another benefit is, and this is where people get confused. Somebody who doesn't know the product, and I know you don't know it, would say, well, you can take it anywhere. That's not a benefit. That's not a feature.
That's what I was going to say next.
No, the feature is it fits in your hand because you can see. The benefit is it's portable and goes anywhere.
So real quick, Forbes, what's the distinction between a feature and a benefit?
You tell me.
Oh, Forbes, this is so fun. You have no idea. This is probably, this is the best. Anyways, I would say from observation that a feature is directly something that I can observe or touch with my eyes or my hands, but the benefit is how it will impact me on a deeper level.
Bingo. Features tell, benefits sell. Now, here's where people go wrong. If you go on your product, you can even do this on your coaching business, so I'm going to get around to solving that issue. If you go feature, 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 you bore people. Exactly. Well, see, it's purple and it's small and it's got great string. Who cares? If you go benefit, 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 they don't know what you're talking about. Well, you can take it anywhere and it looks like it would really be great in my purse. What are you talking about? So now you got somebody on the phone with your coaching business. This is where everybody blows it. What is it? What does it do? So, hey, I've got a 6-week coaching program. Oh, that's really helpful. Yeah, and I chose 6 because it takes 3 weeks to break a habit, 3 weeks to make a new habit. That's where I got 6 weeks from. Feature benefit. Next feature. It is virtual on Zoom. The benefit is you don't have to travel anywhere. I am right there when you need. Another feature is that I make myself available 24/7 on text. The benefit of that is sometimes in the middle of the night, you might need help. Do you see, Devin? I know you're writing. So do you see how 2 and 2 equals 4? And you're like, yeah, I don't even have this program and I'm selling it to you.
Oh, Forbes, I was thinking that earlier. And it's funny because what I've noticed about the best salespeople is that they create a hunger within you for what they have without you even noticing.
That's all we do.
It's amazing, and that's why I was so excited to have you on today, because you are the first of this kind that I've had on, Forbes. I just watch it, and it's magnetic, and starting with that charisma and coming to where we just are and features versus benefits. So now I want to take it, Forbes. I want to go to the other end. What are some of the maybe misconceptions that you see around selling?
Everything. Oh my God. Everything. Well, let me tell you something. I don't want to sell. I have no desire to sell. I have no desire to ask a question that I don't know the answer to. And this is why I do recommend people come and study with me on Sunday, at least for 2 hours, because I don't speak like anyone that you've ever met. And you'll never meet somebody like this, because all of my selling or pitching has been to a television camera. And so it's seen around the world. Do you know that one of my infomercials for Jack LaLanne, the fitness guy with his power juicer, grossed $1 billion?
Wow.
So what is it that we did? And it's one recording. I did it one time back in 2003. It played 400 times a week in the US. So you could see me on television all day long. I mean, night and day. When infomercials were a thing, I had 194 of them. And then when I wasn't doing that, live home shopping, I can pitch and sell anything. But you know what? The crazy thing for me is I grew up in a very unique environment. My dad was a dreamer, an inventor, and a magician. You don't meet a whole lot of female magicians at all. But you want to try a little game? I'll play something with you.
Let's do it.
Watch this. Let's see if I can do it with here. All right. There's nothing on this side of the paper, right?
Nope.
Something on the back. I am going to, in a big orange marker, make a prediction about you. Okay? All right. Okay, so I have made a prediction in an orange marker. I'm going to stick this down my shirt, and at no point are you allowed to touch it. Just kidding. All right, so now this is challenging to do a magic trick long distance, but let me do my best here. I'm going to take my mouse pad, put it over here, and I'm going to put some items on it, okay? And hopefully they won't slide off. So I've got a pen. I have a black bracelet. I have a credit card. That's what I was afraid of. I have an eyedropper thing. And I have, what do I have? A business card. Looking for things on my desk that I just happen to have here. Business card. eyedropper thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's do the pen. All right. So one is a marker, one's a pen. Whole bunch of things here, right? Now, would you, Mr. Devin, say the name of any 3 of these that you can see?
Card, pen, and eye drops.
Okay, so card, this being the card, this being the pen, this being the eye drops. All right, so that leaves a bracelet, a marker, and a credit card. Would you say the name of any 2 of these?
Marker and bracelet.
Okay, marker and bracelet. Do you have a girlfriend?
I do.
Congratulations. Serious?
Oh, I'm serious, Forbes.
That's so cool. All right, so now we got 2 things on here. I got a bracelet and a marker. Will you say the name of one of them?
Wait a second here, Forbes. Okay. I'm trying to think.
Don't think, just do. Trust me.
Okay, no thinking. Let's say the marker.
Let's say the marker. Okay. So what do I have left here? Right there?
You have the pad.
I have a black bracelet.
You have the black. Okay, the black bracelet.
Would it be kind of unusual just if I happen to predict that I would be holding at the end of this a black bracelet?
Forbes, how'd you do that?
You know, is that kind of funny? That's a magic trick on a podcast. That's one of the first times I've ever done that on a podcast. I do that to teach my students what we think is free will, how you can control somebody else's mind, and how you literally, if you are the best pitcher in the room, you will get a yes anytime. Watch this. If I ask you this question, Devin, you open to me asking you a question?
Of course.
I got my first yes. Second yes is, do you want to see something cool?
Yes.
You know what? I know you're going to say yes. I could have predicted that you're going to say yes based on the way I asked the question. And Devin, if you're in a room with me, you know what I do? I then put spin gym on your thumbs and I make you do this because I knew you were going to say yes. Why would I ask a question? And people do this all the time. They ask questions that they're not going to get the right answer for. If you get somebody saying 3 yeses, the 4th yes is take out your credit card. Yes. Okay. I'll do. And so it's creating an environment. And so the problem is when newbies get that coaching certificate, they haven't gone to pitch class. And so if you're on the phone and you're uncomfortable, and you probably should be because you don't know how to pitch. You know how to coach, but you don't know how to pitch. And so role play with me for a second. Let's see if I can get you to buy my coaching program. So, hey, Devin, thank you for filling out the form. It says here that you have a podcast, yes?
Yes.
And that you are a new entrepreneur. You're 23. How old could you be, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So what are you looking for when it comes to growing your business?
Right now, I'm looking to look into different areas that I could expand my business and also grow and sharpen my selling skills.
Okay, but what is your business?
I'm in the business of enabling people to become better storytellers.
Oh, okay. And is that something that people get paid for?
Yes.
Okay, so have people paid you for this?
Yes.
And how much have they paid you?
Upwards of $3,000.
$3,000. What's the promise when they do that?
The promise would be that when they leave my coaching program after those 90 days, they will be able to know how to craft and deliver a story that not only reaches the ears of somebody, but reaches their hearts. And they will know how to use that to effectively engage someone in a conversation if they were trying to sell their product, or I should really say inspire someone in a way.
How long do you coach somebody for the $3,000?
90 days.
90 days. Wow. You know, I have a pitching program. I only charge $1,000 for mine, and I guarantee results that if you don't make your money back in 3 weeks, I'll give you the entire refund. Just saying. I mean,
Forbes, I'm liking that, Forbes.
Well, you know why? Because I'm all about you getting actual money back. I didn't grow up with any money. My dad when I was younger, he slipped and cut the front of his hand off in a printing machine and spent 3 years in the hospital. So for me personally, the value of $1 is very, very important. And I love the fact that you can get $3,000, but I'm going to tell you that I could help you close a whole lot more people because but judging by the way you told me that, I'm not very engaged to give you that money. So something in your pitch fell flat.
Oh, absolutely.
When I work with people, not only does your pitch not fall flat, but you get more yeses than you know what to do with. My promise in 3 weeks is that not only do you make your money back, but you've got so much business you have to hire an assistant. That's and so it's $1,000. It's actually $997. We'll take the $3 for postage, and it's 3 weeks. But I also only have. Here's what I do. I only have 20 people in a room when I do this, and here's the crazy thing that I'm about to do. I've been teaching this program for 15 months. I've graduated 4,000 students. Do the math on how well my company is doing. But I am now making it online, and I don't like a course. I don't think I'll be teaching live anymore. And so if I'm somebody that you actually want to study with, I literally have 2 dates before the end of the year. Might that be interesting to you?
Yes.
MediaMasteryTraining.com.
That was powerful. Can I ask a question about that last part that you just did there? So in terms of, I know people are going to like this one. One of the things that I've noticed and where I really see it the most is on copywriting on, let's say some.
Oh, you just muted yourself.
I saw that. I just muted myself. But what I was saying was that I see a lot of the times that people are promoting a program they're selling or something. They'll say 2 days left at this price, 2 days. And there's that sense of urgency. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, okay, that's a crock of BS. They're just saying that to get my money. So my question is, how do you create that sense of urgency with integrity?
Well, it's funny you say that, because if you go on home shopping, we sell out all the time. Now, just because they sell out doesn't mean that there's no more spin gyms left on the planet. They actually bought an inventory package and they set up an integrity system. And they say to all of us going, look, we want to buy 3,000 of these. And when we sell out 3,000, we cannot sell it again for another 4 weeks. So we technically do sell out, and we have to make it that way. So that's the promise between the two of us. So when I say that I'm not going to be teaching this anymore, I'm actually filming the course right now. I've never used that as a sales technique before, but I'll tell you what, my rooms have filled up like crazy, and I'm being serious. Now, if I put a pitch out that says I only have two days left, what you must do is either not do that same pitch ever again. If you said I'm never going to do this again, you can change the price, you can change the offer. So something has to tweak. I do not believe in lying to people at all for the sake of getting their money. That's not what I would ever consider doing. If you're not in integrity in what you're doing, you need to leave, because you'll see that everywhere. And then you have to decide, what kind of person are you? I have been personally scammed lots of times because I have a very big heart and I believe. What is a scam? Scam means that you trusted somebody who just didn't have their integrity was not the same as yours. So I would, number one, if you're looking at that and they're just saying that and you can do your due diligence, take a look at it. For example, I have a training and I've created a bunch of trainings. I have a new training series called GSD, Get Shit Done. Because I discovered that most entrepreneurs, even though I give you the farm, you learn how to pitch, you got great skills, don't get shit done. They don't have their ducks in a row. And so in the last 15 months, my business partner, who is my CEO of my company, do you know how old she is? Did you read that anywhere?
I did not.
She's 18.
18.
In graduated high school in June of last year, in 15 months has grossed $1.2 million running my coaching business from scratch. Ask less about little McKenna Riley. She's been making money since she was 12. Her first GoFundMe made the $10,000 it said it was going to. She's raised lots of money in her time, and now she's created this whole GSD program.
Wow, that's crazy.
She is a very dynamic, amazing young woman who sat next to mom for the last 6 years. In fact, for a while, for 2 years ago, we took her out of school 50 days so she could go to all these events and learn everything. She's an online marketing whiz. And so I'm listening to how you're saying these things, and some of them you should actually interview her because she has a very unique perspective on how you write. I'm the pitching expert. I am the verbal communication skills. You want clarity, you want confidence. Now, isn't that a funny thing? Forbes, how do you sell confidence? Wait, I got some more confidence. I want confidence. No, here's what confidence is. Confidence comes from winning. And so one of the things that I do for people is I make you more comfortable when you communicate. I get the average person, that sounded terrible, didn't it? But a person who thinks they're average, to stop saying certain words. Stop saying, like, basically, actually, and all of a sudden, things change. Because
so true.
Everything comes down to how you communicate with yourself and others. So one of my personal teachings that I just love is called Breakthrough. Because Devin, I know you're young, but what happens as people get older is all the bad things in their past at some point start to weigh them down like a bowling ball, like carrying luggage. Like every time you get to a new relationship, oh, let me tell you what happened to me the last time. And you become stories of things that don't serve you, whether internally or then you project them onto other people. If you're not making sales, if you're not being engaging, it's because you're carrying your bullshit with you. No one wants to see your hoarded, cluttered house. They just don't. You don't go to a hotel room with anything in it and no clutter. It's all, it's a hotel room. Imagine going to a hotel room and there's all like stuff in the drawer and stuff on the bed and pillows and dogs. I don't want to be in this room. There's stuff here. But that's what humans do. So I have a thing called Breakthrough with Forbes, where over the weekend, I will take people who've been traumatized, who've been hurt, raped, molested, bullied. And this, my friend, was a little training that I started. I was 31 years old. The first time I went to a seminar that was experiential, where you could literally not listen to people talk at you, but they made you do exercises where you discovered who you are, where you found yourself crying at some point because it dawned on me that everything I had done up to that point was to please my dad. It doesn't matter. To clean your house out, to start new. And so for 28 years in my living room, in my TV studio, now on Zoom, I've been taking a group of people, and that's just a small side thing that I do. Because the thing that hurts me most at this age is that people are talented, they're smart, they have ideas, but there's so much in their own way that they never get to explore and get success from any of those. And that eats away at their self-confidence, their self-esteem. And I'll tell you, during the whole pandemic thing where a lot of people just shut down, what they didn't realize is that there have been more millionaires and more money transferred during this time because the successful, ruthless people, they knew this, like, oh, I'm waiting. They weren't dealing with emotions. Business people are not that emotional. They're very cut and dry.
Forbes, when I hear you speak and I hear you pitch different things, what I love most is that you paint a picture using sometimes you do use stories, which I absolutely love, but do you see a value of storytelling in the arena, I guess you can say, of sales?
I'm an actress. Do you know how much I love utilizing the instrument that I've got?
Oh, I could tell, and I love it, Forbes.
Because I actually noticed, like you just said, as I was telling you about breakthrough, my whole cadence and my voice got much more loving and nurturing because it's very different from my pitching world.
Right.
I will tell you, I think the best thing is sales. Do you know that football players have to take ballet class? Did you know that?
I did not know that. That would be pretty funny, though.
Well, it is. Oh, I was a teacher. I know. Although my fiance was a big football guy, he took a ballet class because you need to know how to move and use this instrument in unique ways, right? Well, why wouldn't a salesperson take an acting class or an improv class so that you can understand? By the way, 2 years of my life, and I am so blessed that this matters, but I studied in a school in New York called the William Esper School, and they taught you to listen.
Wow. I didn't even know that was a thing.
You can tell how hyper I am. About 6 months of this training, I'm like, let's get to the good stuff. They're like, no. And there were exercises that we did to amp up our listening. One of them is, you're going to love this. What if what you say doesn't matter at all, but it is how you say it is all that ever mattered? So if you study like I do, first of all, 55% of any pitch starts right here. I'm looking at you. I see your age. I see the color. I see your background. I'm going to make all kind of opinions about who you are, and you're going to make all kind of opinions about me. And that's valid and fair, right? But the next thing is we're going to start talking. And if I was someone who talked like this, I was like, I want to do my interview. I've heard people like that. You go, whoa.
So if I...
Yeah. Well, they might want to tweak that or it's a girl who's talking like this. Like, oh my God, let me tell you about my latest invention. It's just, whoa, take out the dog whistle. I had someone like that in my room and I said, can you lower the voice? And she's like, why would I do that? I'm like, because I can't. And I know this from personal experience because I'm from New York. I grew up talking like this, right? I'm from Long Island. You want to listen to my family? If we're not putting food in our mouth and hands up here and everything is like whatever, that's my family. Well, I got embarrassed. When I was 16 years old, I was in the Miss Teenage America pageant on television with Bob Hope. And all the little girls from the Midwest were like, y'all have the funniest accent I ever heard. I'm like, what the freak you talking about? I have an accent? What? What's wrong with you? And I listened to myself recorded back then, long before TikTok ever came around. And I thought, wow, I sound like Rocky. I sound terrible. And I didn't have a coach back then, but I had enough sensibility to say, wow, I guess I should change this a little. Now, am I telling you to change yourself? Rocky he didn't change. Schwarzenegger didn't change. Or did he? He changed his average body into a bodybuilder body. Think about, what we do to attain what we want. And so I always go back to everyone deciding what they want. I wanted to be on television. I wanted to be popular or whatever it is I wanted. And I changed my voice. And I changed the way that I spoke. And I studied it enough that at some point I said, maybe I should just sound like I come from London. They all sound so much smarter over there, don't they? So that became a skill, right? But this listening skill. So Devin, try this. Say, please give me the pen.
Please give me the pen.
Now say it like a little 3-year-old.
Please give me the pen.
Now
Uh-huh.
say, now say it like a tough New Yorker.
Hey, please give me the pen.
Right. Now sound like you're mad at me with the same please give me the pen.
Please give me the pen.
Now say like you're trying to seduce me.
Please give me the pen.
Try that again.
Please give me the pen.
All right. Did you notice that what you said didn't change at all?
Absolutely.
But you went from being mad at me to seducing to childlike, all with what? The instrument that you have.
That's so funny, Forbes. I had written down on here that I wanted to get into a little bit about tonality. That's so funny you brought it up.
Well, that is a skill. And I spent 2 years listening. And one of the problems when you listen that carefully is you're not fun to go to parties. Because I remember so distinctly, a waitress came up to us. I was like, all right, what can I get you? And I'm like, oh, did you have a really bad day? She's like, I just want your order. I'm like, because I was hearing what she was actually saying, that she was having a really tough day, had nothing to do with taking the order, but she got mad. Maybe she got mad at me for asking her a question about what she was really saying. And so this is a lot when you're overcoming objections and you're listening on the phone. What's the person really saying? They don't trust you. They don't have enough money. They do have to ask. They want to do it. What are they really saying to you? Not the words they're saying. And then the next thing is when you're pitching, stop pitching people what you think they need. Oh my God, you need this latest noni juice or this vitamin because I'll take. No, I don't. If you get me to want what you have, we buy all day long. No one buys what they need. They only buy what they want. So your job is what? Not to sell them, but to enroll them.
To enroll them. If you could give me a quick definition of enrolling somebody, what would that be?
Well, I already did it. You said that you want to take my class. Every time you say yes, you're being enrolled.
I see what you mean. Wow. Yeah, I love what you said about you're not really selling them something, you're enrolling them and creating, like I said earlier, that desire, that hunger for them to come and to experience what you have. That is just powerful right there.
Devin, yeah, we haven't met each other before. So I literally laid out a thing where I found out what you do. You sell a high-end coaching program that you'd like to sell more of them. And if I told you there was a magic formula that I actually can work you through, and I believe that you will 10x your income when you're finished with that process. Those are like 5 things that you want. You want to sell more. You want to over-deliver. You want to provide value to people. I'm just going to give you what you want, given what my skill set is.
Right.
I'm not going to teach you to write copy. I'm not the best in the world at that. I'm the best at getting you verbally to seduce anybody out of a credit card.
And I think that's something that is so valuable. And I stress this so much to people, Forbes, the importance of communication. And you have exuded this today. I want to, Forbes, ask you a question very quickly that I have here. You were very able to, or I should say, you were able to be very successful in the midst of this pandemic and through the midst of all the turmoil that's going on. So for that budding entrepreneur out there, or that person that is really looking maybe for the first time to finally start and grow and launch their business, how were you, despite all the turmoil, able to make the necessary adjustments to still be successful in that changed environment?
Okay, I think it has to come with age here, because I got to tell you something. This pandemic, first of all, this is not the worst that happened to me this year. Last year, January 2020, my fiance, my big fitness buff man, got hit by a car on a motorcycle, ended up shattered and broken, and spent 6 months in a wheelchair after surgery and still walks with a limp. I appreciate the rest of you are like, oh, I can't go out and go to a restaurant. Screw you. He can't walk. So I love people say, I had a pivot. Yeah, I had a pivot when a little boy that I raised for 12 years was murdered, and my picture was on the cover of the Los Angeles Times. That was a tough thing to get over. It was a really tough time when my mom and my dad both died a year and apart from each other. Then 9/11 hit, and my brother-in-law and I lost 9 of the guys in his firehouse who worked a quarter mile north of the World Trade Center. That one I had a pivot. You want to give me pivots? I mean, let's get real here. The pandemic, seriously? What was the worst thing that actually happened to you? You had to sit home. You couldn't go to your favorite restaurant. Now, don't get me wrong here. I had COVID. It sucked. My kids both had it twice now. My best friend and the creator of this book right here just died. 4 weeks. He found out he got sick and he's gone. Make no mistake about that. I think the pandemic has its own issues. but it's not affecting me.
Mm.
You are not sick at the moment. Stop it. Knock it off. We all have to pivot all the time. And so if you think pivoting because of this is a big deal, people are not dying in the street bleeding out of their eyes. If Ebola was here, that would be something to panic about. But people are getting sick. They're either recovering or they're dying. And I think they're dying at a pretty small rate. My friend died. I'm not taking this lightly at all. I take every precaution, and I think everybody should do whatever works for them. But I got to tell you, life goes on. My son came down. They were both 17 years old. They're senior in high school. Oh, Mom, the pandemic. I can't go to school and I can't see my friends. Really? 1941, when my dad was 11 years old and Pearl Harbor got struck and we all went to war. If you were 17 years old, my son, they would have recruited your ass out to another country. And I don't know if I would ever see you again. So do not sit there and tell me how horrible your life is because you can't go to the grocery store or the movies. Wake up, figure out what's important. And life is all of this. Unless you think that life is a straight road, that would be the most boring life. And I think my grandparents lived like very straight life. You know what? I'm on a roller coaster. I've had the highest highs. I've starred in movies. I've hung out with people like Les Brown, and I'm on tour right now with Deepak Chopra and Damon John and Shark Tank's Kevin Harrington. But I'll tell you what, pretty high highs, pretty low lows. The fabric of what makes a great human being is not what happens to them, but is how they deal with that. I've had a lot of guys who've come back from war, and I spent a lot of time working with them because they've seen things that they can't comprehend in real life here. In America, if you kill somebody, you go to jail forever. In a foreign country with a gun in your hand and a military uniform, you are told to do that. There's a lot of tough brain space here. So I don't buy into this. I think that I'm a disruptor anyway. That's who I've always been. I've always marched the drum that I hear in my own head. And if I hear one more person tell me they had a pivot, let me share something with you. My daughter built $1 million business. You know why? Because all of a sudden, people pivoted to be willing to do Zoom calls, to be willing to do podcasts. I can now shop. Because of this whole pandemic, I want food. Hello? Oh, it gets delivered to my door. Amazon, in overnight, stuff comes to me. The pivoting has been brilliant. It has been unworldly. And so why are you complaining? Because you have to put a mask on? Or you can't always get on an airplane to go where you want? Gee, welcome to I got to tell you, we're not prepared for what might happen. You know what that EMT thing is? Like if an EMT bomb or one of those goes out and all electricity in our world would go out right now. I was in my house during a hurricane. I was doing a mastermind and everyone had to stay in my home and a hurricane hit right over my house. 5 days, no electricity. Apocalypse, World War III. I don't have a hairdryer. My phone doesn't work. I can't get on the computer. Oh my God. Remember what happened when Facebook went down for a day?
Oh yeah.
Was it comical? Was it freaking comical?
It really was, Forbes. That was the one day I went on Clubhouse and there was a room with like 7,500 people. I was like, what the heck is this?
I want Facebook to go down more so I can drive people to my Clubhouse room. 7,000 people in that room. So I've got to tell you, you pivot all the time. Everything. Anytime you get sick, you get hurt, you lose somebody. You are always pivoting. And I'm going to tell you the best advice that I can. One, get very well educated, get smart, learn what you need to learn. And you don't learn it in college. You learn it through courses, you learn it through environmental, but literally learn all the time. And then learn every aspect of your life. Learn how to take care of your body. What does it mean to meditate and what kind of food should you eat? How do you work out? How do you have social skills? What do your finances look like? I'm always, every day, I learn something consciously. And I think it's the greatest time ever. Most of my friends who used to charge like I did. I used to charge $50,000 to study with me. Now you can take a course to study with me for $1,000. I would jump on that. And obviously 5,000 people have jumped on it. That's why we have such a big company, because I don't have to get on an airplane, so I don't have to charge as much. A lot of people are doing that right now. Take their courses and roll in with and study with them. Listen to the podcast like yours. This is like one of the best times ever.
Oh, I agree. Like you said, the one word that was going through my head as you described everything that you've been through, and then you just said pivot. Don't talk to me about pivot. Is perspective, is the perspective that you've developed on that word. Forbes, I'm really interested. Who are some of the people that you've learned from the most and that have really mentored or coached you?
All right. So I've been really lucky. I met a man named Body by Jake Seinfeld, back in the early 90s, who was one of the best selling machines ever. And he gave me a gift of my own TV series where I introduced to the world the idea of selling literally pitching fitness products. I pitched 1,500 in 5 years. Jake Seinfeld is one of the greats. And then I got to meet all of the other greats. For example, I just got to, you know who Billy Blanks is from Tybo?
Yeah.
All right, so I just got to hang out with Billy this last weekend because 20 years ago, if you go to YouTube, I gave Billy his break. I had a national talk show. I walked into a little room in Sherman Oaks where they were punching and kicking, and there was Brooke Shields, Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Sugar Ray Leonard, and I walk in and they're all like punching and I put that on my talk show. 2 years later, he launched Tybo. Well, it was really fun to see Billy 20 years later and say, he's like, Forbes, I remember you. I love you. I'm like, I know, man. I think about you a lot. Your tenacity, your grit, what you overcame is unbelievable. Jack LaLanne, you may not know his name, but for 50 years.
Oh, I do.
Well, then you are one of the amazing ones. For 50 years, that man was the king of fitness. He had a TV series for 37 years. He passed away 8 years ago because of a slight heart defect. His wife, Elaine, I'm going to start to cry. She's 95 years old.
Wow.
She is one of my all-time greatest friends. I love this woman so much. I got to meet her about 3 months after my babies were born. She became the godmom to my kids. We worked together for 8 years, grossed $1 billion. I go out to her house. You walk down the hallway of her home, and there they are with Marilyn Monroe, Frank Sinatra, JFK, Arnold Schwarzenegger. These are my friends. I could go down the list of people who have influenced me and affected me, and I'm so blessed that I keep going. And my friends cross over. John Astroff called me on the phone the other day. I don't know him. I've been a fan of his since The Secret came out. I'm like, you're calling me? That's so cool. That's really awesome. And then we got to know each other. Les Brown has been one of my best friends since I started this. Les would kick my ass. He'd call me after a speech that he'd heard and go, I love that, but this is what you're going to do. I want to see this, 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 and this. I'm like, all right. Joe Theismann, NFL football superstar. I did a show with him, an infomercial years ago. Every week we would talk. He's in the Football Hall of Fame and he's a broadcaster. But I became his only coaching client as a speaker. I enroll people all the time. I also make it a very strong mission of mine, and I always have. I didn't grow up with a lot of family. I have no aunts and uncles, no cousins, nobody. And my parents are gone now, so I've always made people my family. And so once I love you, I talked to my first 2 boyfriends in life. One was my first boyfriend when I was 21 years old, and the second one was the second half of my 20s. One was a stuntman, the other was a movie producer. We're still friends. They both came to my first wedding. Once you love me, I feel so blessed to meet people. Like I said, I led a very isolated, weird little childhood. I was a very ugly little girl without a lot of friends. I had a broken nose and frizzy hair and braces, and I know you can laugh now, but when you see the picture, you're like, oh, that's kind of ugly. And I overcame that because I wanted my life to matter. And you know the cool thing, Devin, that I am living now and lived for the last 20 years? I know I matter to a lot of people. I've made a difference in their lives, and that's the only legacy that you will ever have. The difference, not who you were or what you did to affect others. We were talking about Harriet Tubman the other day. It's irrelevant about her life. It's what she did for other people. How many lives did she save? How many generations of people are grateful to her or Martin Luther or anybody that we don't even know now? It's because what they did for people. That's what I've devoted my life to doing.
Forbes, you are the only person I've ever had on here that answered my last question that I ask every single guest without me asking it. And that question is, I can't believe you did it. The question is simply, as you look back at your life and the contribution that you hope to have, what would that legacy be? But I mean, Forbes, you kind of just answered it for me.
You know what the legacy is? I was a role model and a pioneer when I didn't even know what I was pioneering. I didn't have a choice. I was a woman in a man's world who had a big mission and a big mouth and fought her own self-esteem issues. The only legacy that I'm really going to leave is to the 2 kids upstairs right now who are 18 years old, who work with me, who think that mommy is amazing. And for the last 18 years, if you haven't heard about me like you've heard about Oprah, she doesn't have kids. 18 years of raising 2 children so they're good people, that's my legacy. And I'm excited as all get out to be mom.
Oh, that's special. That is special. Your kids are very lucky, Forbes, to have you as a mother. This has just been an incredible experience. And before we go, Forbes, why don't you tell us where people could go if they want to learn a little bit more about you and potentially even work with you?
Well, just remember that, when you succeed and do something that you
Forbes did.
well, to form something, my friend, means to manifest it, especially when no one thinks it's possible. So that is very important in my life. And I ask people all the time, what have you Forbes lately? Come on, give it up.
I
What have you
love that.
done? No one said that you could do it. And so just go to my name, ForbesRiley.com. You'll find all the things I do. There's free gifts there. There's social media there. I'm on Clubhouse. I just got like in a magazine about being an influencer on Clubhouse. You know what I love about Clubhouse? The difference between you and me. You don't have to wear eyelashes and makeup. But as a woman, Clubhouse is really fun because I can do it naked in the middle of the night.
That makes all the difference, Forbes. Well, Forbes, I want to say thank you because you've blessed me personally a lot during this interview, and I've learned so much. And I know all the people that are listening to this have pom-poms on right now and are cheering Forbes, 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 Forbes.
Actually, we need to get you a spin gym so that you know what I'm talking about. By the way, for military, no pun intended. Okay, here it is in black with the word courage, because I did this for one of my military guys. I'll tell you what, when you're sitting around and you're in a very small space and you want a kick-ass sweaty workout, 60 seconds doubles your heart rate. Don't be surprised by the size of this. The power of this little thing will blow you away, my friend. So we need to get you one.
Wow, that is, I would not think that by looking at it, Forbes. That is awesome. I need to get my hands on it. But Forbes Riley, thank you so much. This has been a distinct honor and privilege, and I've had so much fun.
Me too. All right, I will see you in the clubhouse.
All right, Forbes.
Now I gotta go.
For everybody that's listening to this, she just put on some dark glasses that were reflective. There she goes.
You can, come on, when your future's this bright, my honey, you gotta wear sunglasses.
Forbes, you are the best in the East and the West. I just can't wait to continue learning. And thank you so much for what you do for this world.
I love you. Bye-bye, my friend. I'll see you soon.